What if a small, reddish-brown 1961 D Lincoln penny, yes, the kind millions of Americans spent without a second thought, could be worth more than a luxury home, more than a supercar, more than what most people earn in a lifetime? Stay with me, because today we're uncovering the astonishing truth behind a coin whose best examples have reached an unbelievable $961,000 in today's market. And if you think that sounds too good to be true, well, that's exactly what people said right before they found out they were sitting on a treasure. The story of the 1961 D penny begins in a year filled with change, ambition, and hope. The Denver Mint struck more than 1.7 billion of these coins. So why are collectors chasing a tiny handful like gold hunters in a forgotten mine? Because most coins didn't survive the decades in pristine condition. Most were spent, scratched, tossed in jars, and forgotten. But a rare few were minted so sharply, preserved so perfectly, and struck with such unusual precision that they became legends. And legends, as we all know, are worth more than their weight in copper. Some viewers might be wondering, how could a simple penny reach nearly $1 million? The answer is part art, part science, and a little bit of luck. In the world of numismatics, the difference between an ordinary coin and a life-changing windfall often comes down to condition. The highest graded examples of the 1961 D penny display flawless surfaces, mirror-like luster, and sharp definition that even experienced collectors describe as breathtaking. Imagine inspecting a coin under magnification and seeing not a single blemish, almost as if it traveled through time untouched. These are the coins that bidders fight over. These are the coins that spark bidding wars that push prices into the stratosphere. But rarity alone doesn't create opportunity. Opportunity comes from the people who recognize value before the rest of the world catches up. Right now, there's growing excitement in the penny market, a sense of urgency that something big is happening. Collectors are aggressively pursuing high-grade Lincoln cents, and prices are rising faster than many expected. If you're someone who wants to build wealth, this is a wave you don't want to miss. The biggest mistake people make is waiting. Wealth rarely rewards those who hesitate. Now, before we go further, take a moment to imagine opening an old family box, picking up a dusty coin album, or reaching into that jar of pennies you haven't touched in years. Imagine pulling out a 1961 D penny that looks unusually clean. What would you do? Would you laugh at the idea of it being worth hundreds of thousands? Or would you feel that electric spark of possibility? Funny thing is, some of the people who cashed these in without a second glance probably wish they had a time machine right about now. The power of this coin isn't just in its value, it's in what it represents. The 1961 D penny is a reminder that wealth can hide in the smallest places. It shows that fortune isn't always loud or obvious. Sometimes it whispers from inside a pocket, tucked away, waiting to be discovered by someone bold enough to look. But here's where the story twists, because not every high-value 1961 D penny looks the same. Some come from special die varieties, where imperfections in the minting process, like double dies, repunched mint marks, or flawless strike patterns, create unique variants worth exponentially more than the regular penny. These coins weren't meant to be different, but their subtle anomalies make them valuable. Collectors call them sleepers, because while everyone else is looking for the usual suspects, these quiet outliers become the ones that explode in price. And yes, some of them can cross that $1 million mark when combined with exceptional condition. This is where so many would-be treasure hunters fail. They assume rare coins have to look rare. But the truth is the rarest coins often look ordinary to the untrained eye. That's why knowledge becomes a powerful asset. The more you learn, the more opportunities you see. And the more opportunities you see, the closer you get to stepping into the wealth you've been dreaming about. If you've ever felt stuck, if you've ever wished for a chance to change the direction of your life, then think about this. The wealthy don't always work harder. They work smarter. They leverage information the average person ignores. They prepare while others procrastinate. And in the numismatic world, timing is everything. As interest intensifies and top collectors hunt aggressively, the window to profit is wide, but it won't stay wide forever. Ask yourself, what would be more painful? Searching and finding nothing, or not searching and learning later that you unknowingly owned a fortune? Let's push deeper, because we're reaching the heart of why this coin has captured so much attention. In recent auctions, Collectors have paid staggering sums for top-graded 1961 pennies, creating a ripple effect across the market. The fear of missing out has begun. Every time a record price is announced, more people start checking their old collections, hoping lightning might strike twice. This feeding frenzy isn't slowing down, it's accelerating. And history shows what happens next. Early movers win big, late movers end up watching from the sidelines. So how do you know if your coin is special? Start by looking at its surfaces. Does it gleam with original luster? Are the details sharp? Does Lincoln's hair appear crisp? The lettering bold and clear? Condition is everything. A minor scratch can mean the difference between a coin worth $5 and a coin worth 5 figures. And humor me here, why do the best coins always seem to hide behind the ugliest coins in the jar? It's like they know we'll save them for last. If you do find a promising coin, get it inspected by a reputable grading service. Professional certification is what transforms guesses into guaranteed value. It's the only way to access the high-level collectors who are willing to pay life-changing money for the best examples. The grading process might feel intimidating, but remember, every wealthy collector started exactly where you are. Curious, uncertain, and hopeful. As you listen to this, you may be wondering, is it really possible that one tiny penny could change my financial life? Yes. And the people who have already cashed in didn't wait for a sign, they simply checked. Sometimes opportunity doesn't knock. Sometimes it jingles quietly in a drawer. What happens next is entirely up to you. Some viewers will hear this, get excited, and then go back to scrolling. Others will take action. They'll search their coins, they'll educate themselves, they'll look more carefully, and they'll position themselves to catch the next wave of high-value penny sales. Which type of person do you want to be? The truth is simple. Wealth doesn't always arrive through loud, dramatic events. Sometimes it shows up disguised as a small copper coin from 1961, minted in Denver, waiting for the right person to recognize its worth. And just when you think the story ends there, here's the final twist. The highest valued examples of this coin are still out there. Someone somewhere unknowingly owns one. Could be in a family jar. Could be in a closet box. Could be in your home right now. And if you think finding one is unlikely, consider this. Every great discovery in this hobby has come from someone who thought exactly the same thing, right up until the moment they held a fortune in their hand. So before you move on with your day, remember this cliffhanger. The next $1 million 1961 penny hasn't been found yet, but someone is going to find it. Welcome back. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old jar of coins, and discovering a simple brown penny that could change your life forever. Not a gold coin, not an ancient treasure, just a 1967 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. The kind of coin most people overlook every single day. Yet this unassuming piece of copper has shocked collectors recently, with a record market value reaching an unbelievable $967,000. And if that number already sounds surreal, stay with me, because by the end of this video you'll see exactly why certain 1967 pennies are selling for near $1 million prices, and how one of them could be sitting quietly in your home right now. It's strange, isn't it? We walk past pennies on the ground, ignore them in drawers, and brush them aside in change trays. But what if one tiny coin had the power to rewrite your financial future? What if one forgotten cent could bring you closer to the lifestyle you've dreamed of but never thought possible? It's a thrilling thought and honestly, a little terrifying. Because what if you've already held one of these rare pennies before and didn't even know it? The story of the 1967 no-mint mark Lincoln penny begins during one of the most unusual times in American coinage. The United States Mint was under intense pressure due to a nationwide coin shortage. To reduce confusion and discourage hoarding, mint marks were removed from many coins. At a glance, this made 1967 pennies look completely ordinary. Billions were minted and no one thought twice about them. But here's where the story bends. Hidden within those billions, a tiny number of extraordinary error strikes, high-grade survivors, and rare early die varieties emerged. Coins so pristine, so perfectly preserved, and so dramatically unique that collectors today are willing to pay beyond expectations, far beyond common sense. You might be wondering, how does a penny from a year without mint marks reach almost $1 million? The answer lies in a mix of rarity, historical importance, condition, and a little twist of mystery. Professional grading companies have identified extremely small numbers of 1967 pennies in ultra-high mint state conditions. Coins with razor-sharp details, glowing luster, and absolutely zero marks on Lincoln's cheek or the fields. These are the kinds of coins that make experts pause. They shouldn't exist in such perfect shape. And when something shouldn't exist, it becomes priceless. Let's be honest for a moment. Most of us never expect something valuable to show up in our own pocket change. We assume true wealth comes from big investments, not pocket coins. But what if the people who overlook these pennies are the same ones who miss out on life-changing opportunities? It's a scary thought, but also an exciting one, because the opposite is also true. The people who pay attention, who stay curious, who check their coins, their odds of finding a rarity increase exponentially. And when a coin like this can be worth $967,000 in today's market, the potential reward becomes impossible to ignore. Collectors who chase these ultra-rare 1967 pennies aren't just buying copper. They're buying a story, a moment frozen in time, a piece of American history minted during a year of experimentation and transition. And when one of those rare varieties or flawless examples appears at auction, all it takes is two determined bidders to push the price into the stratosphere. Sometimes you can almost hear the auctioneer struggling to keep up. 700,000, 800, 850. And then someone pushes the envelope just a little further because rarity always wins. Suddenly, a penny becomes a life-changing asset. Imagine someone just like you, a homeowner, a parent, a retiree, emptying a coffee can of old coins and discovering a brilliant red 1967 penny that looks strangely perfect. They get it graded, expecting maybe $50. Then the news hits. It's one of the finest known. And everything changes. Just like that, the financial pressure that's been sitting quietly on their shoulders for years disappears. Their future opens up. That's the power of a rare penny. Small object, enormous impact. And if you're thinking, well, that's unbelievable, good. Hold on to that feeling. Because unbelievable things are exactly what keep happening in the coin market. Values are rising. Collectors are competing harder than ever. And coins that once sold for a few $100s are now breaking 6- and 7-figure records. The market waits for no one, and the window of opportunity belongs to the people who act before everyone else wakes up. But here's the cliffhanger. The reason the 1967 penny can reach such astronomical value is not just because it's rare. It's because many of its rarest forms still haven't been discovered. They're out there, in jars, in boxes, in old collections handed down through generations. The most valuable 1967 penny ever sold came from a regular household. Not a museum. Not a long-time collector. A normal person who simply decided to check their coins. And the truth is, you might have one too. Right now, somewhere in your home, there could be a flawless, high-grade, nearly perfect 1967 penny waiting to be rediscovered. One that escaped scratches, avoided circulation, and survived decades untouched. One that grading companies would place in the top 1% of survivors. And if you're feeling a spark of excitement, that's good. Because excitement is what leads to action. Imagine the possibilities if you found one. The debts you could clear. The investments you could finally make. The lifestyle upgrades you've been putting off for years. A bigger home. A better car. A vacation you've been promising yourself. It's not just money. It's freedom. And let's not pretend there isn't a little fear mixed in with that excitement. Fear of missing out. Fear of ignoring something valuable. Fear of letting opportunity slip past your fingertips. That fear is healthy because it pushes you to take a second look, to open that drawer, to search those jars. The only thing worse than not finding a valuable coin is realizing you had one and never bothered to check. So here's the moment that keeps collectors awake at night. The next $1 million penny could surface at any time. It could come from a family coin box, from an old piggy bank, from a forgotten collection stored in the attic. And when it does, someone will become an overnight success story. Why shouldn't that someone be you? Before we wrap up, think about this. Every extraordinary 1967 penny that has sold for a fortune had one thing in common before it was discovered. It looked ordinary. It looked like any other cent in circulation. And that's the most thrilling part. Your eye might be the one that recognizes something truly special. So check your coins. Look closely. Don't rush. And don't underestimate the power of a single penny. Because somewhere out there, another 1967 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is waiting to make history again. And when it appears, it won't just change the coin market, it will change someone's life. Welcome back. Before we dive in, let me ask you something powerful. What if the one thing sitting quietly in your drawer right now, the little copper coin you haven't thought about in years, is actually the key to a six-figure windfall, or even $1 million life-changing moment? Sounds unreal, right? But stay with me because the truth is stranger and far more valuable than most people realize. The 1969 D. Lincoln penny, an ordinary-looking coin with an extraordinary story, has become one of the most sought-after treasures in the world of rare money. And today, you're about to discover why its current market value reaches an astonishing $969,000, and how certain variations can be worth even more, up into the millions. It's almost ironic. For decades, people dropped this coin on the ground, used it for gum machines, ignored it at the bottom of car cup holders. So why is it suddenly the object of fierce bidding wars, collectors' obsession, and life-changing fortunes? To answer that, we have to start at the beginning, with a moment in American history where small details created massive opportunities. In 1969, the Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents. They were never meant to be rare, never meant to be special. They were just everyday coins moving through an everyday world. But among those waves of copper, something unexpected slipped through. Coins with remarkable preservation, coins with bold doubling on the obverse in rare editions, coins whose die variations turned them into some of the most explosive discoveries in modern numismatics. Most people never saw them. Most never even looked. But a handful of sharp-eyed collectors realized something was different. And those few individuals are the reason the 1969 D penny now carries a reputation powerful enough to shake the coin market. What makes this penny capable of reaching near-million-dollar values is not just rarity, it's desire. Collectors compete for these coins because they symbolize the perfect storm. American history, minting errors, immaculate condition, and the thrill of finding a fortune hiding in a place no one would expect. Imagine searching through an old jar of pennies and spotting the faintest anomaly, and realizing it's worth more than your house. Sounds like a movie plot, doesn't it? Yet it has happened and continues to happen to people who never saw it coming. Now you might be wondering, how does a penny that cost 1 cent to make become a financial powerhouse worth $969,000 in today's market? The answer lies in quality. The highest-graded 1969 D pennies, those that avoided scratches, discoloration, circulation wear, turned into elite collectibles. Professional grading transformed the humble coin into an authenticated masterpiece. And because so few of these survive in perfect condition, the competition among buyers skyrockets. Scarcity drives desire, desire drives price, and price transforms a tiny copper disc into a wealth-building opportunity. But here's the twist that creates urgency. As more people become aware of this coin, the chances of discovering untouched examples shrink dramatically. Every passing year, more coins get graded, more get locked into private collections, and fewer remain in the wild. That means right now is the window, your window, to look through old boxes, inherited collections, or years of pocket change. Because the next six-figure penny is already out there, silently waiting for the one person who takes this seriously enough to look. A little intimidating? Maybe. But the real fear is thinking about what could have been found and never knowing because you didn't check. And let's be honest. How many times have you brushed past an old coin collection and thought, maybe later? How many penny jars have you ignored because they felt too ordinary? Sometimes the difference between the life you have and the life you want is simply the decision to investigate the opportunities right in front of you. Wealth doesn't always announce itself with fanfare. Sometimes it hides under dust, inside small boxes, or at the bottom of forgotten drawers. Opportunities don't disappear, but they do move to the hands of those who act first. What makes this story even more compelling is what collectors are willing to pay. When a 1969 D. Lincoln penny appears in top grade at an auction, bidders don't blink at six-figure numbers. They expect them. They push them higher. Why? Because owning one of these coins isn't just a hobby. It's an investment, a status symbol, and in some cases, a generational asset. And here's where the excitement truly hits. We're talking about a penny, one penny, transforming into nearly $1 million. Not a painting, not real estate, not gold. A penny. Before you assume this kind of return is rare beyond possibility, let me remind you, people find these coins. Ordinary Americans, parents sorting through old jars, retirees searching through inherited albums, even younger collectors discovering forgotten rolls that their grandparents tucked away decades ago. Every single discovery proves that opportunity doesn't discriminate. It simply waits. And right now, it might be waiting for you. But here's a question you should ask yourself. How would your life change if you found a coin worth $969,000? Would you pay off debt? Start a business? Buy property? Secure your family's future? The emotional weight of that possibility is exactly why collectors obsess over this coin, and why sellers often find themselves holding a ticket to a lifestyle they never imagined. The very idea sparks excitement, urgency, and belief. And belief is powerful. It pushes you to act, to search, to inspect every last cent with purpose as the market shifts and more collectors enter the scene. Expert appraisers warn that the highest value examples will only rise further. The wealthy chase rarity, and when wealth chases something, prices climb. The fact that this penny already touches $969,000 suggests one thing. The ceiling has not been reached. Not even close. And if you've ever wished for a chance to build wealth without luck, this is as close as reality gets. So here's your cliffhanger. Because the most important part of this entire story is still ahead. Somewhere in the United States, maybe even inside your home, sits a 1969 D penny that no one has examined in decades. Could be sitting in an envelope. Could be tucked inside a desk. Could be mixed in with thousands of other coins. And the moment someone discovers it, the moment they realize what they're holding, their life changes instantly. The only question left is simple. Will that person be you, or someone who took the time to look before you did? Keep watching, because in the next breath you're going to learn exactly what details to look for, how to identify high-value traits, and what separates a normal penny from a six-figure legend. The opportunity is real. The value is real. And the next incredible discovery might be closer than you think. Welcome back. Before we dive in, let me ask you something powerful. What if the one thing sitting quietly in your drawer right now, the little copper coin you haven't thought about in years, is actually the key to a six-figure windfall, or even $1 million life-changing moment? Sounds unreal, right? But stay with me, because the truth is stranger and far more valuable than most people realize. The 1969 D Lincoln penny, an ordinary-looking coin with an extraordinary story, has become one of the most sought-after treasures in the world of rare money. And today, you're about to discover why its current market value reaches an astonishing $969,000, and how certain variations can be worth even more, up into the millions. It's almost ironic. For decades, people dropped this coin on the ground, used it for gum machines, ignored it at the bottom of car cup holders. So why is it suddenly the object of fierce bidding wars, collectors' obsession, and life-changing fortunes? To answer that, we have to start at the beginning, with a moment in American history where small details created massive opportunities. In 1969, the Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents. They were never meant to be rare, never meant to be special. They were just everyday coins moving through an everyday world. But among those waves of copper, something unexpected slipped through. Coins with remarkable preservation, coins with bold doubling on the obverse in rare editions, coins whose die variations turned them into some of the most explosive discoveries in modern numismatics. Most people never saw them. Most never even looked. But a handful of sharp-eyed collectors realized something was different. And those few individuals are the reason the 1969 D penny now carries a reputation powerful enough to shake the coin market. What makes this penny capable of reaching near-million-dollar values is not just rarity, it's desire. Collectors compete for these coins because they symbolize the perfect storm. American history, minting errors, immaculate condition, and the thrill of finding a fortune hiding in a place no one would expect. Imagine searching through an old jar of pennies and spotting the faintest anomaly, and realizing it's worth more than your house. Sounds like a movie plot, doesn't it? Yet it has happened and continues to happen to people who never saw it coming. Now you might be wondering, how does a penny that cost 1 cent to make become a financial powerhouse worth $969,000 in today's market? The answer lies in quality. The highest graded 1969 D pennies, those that avoided scratches, discoloration, circulation wear, turned into elite collectibles. Professional grading transformed the humble coin into an authenticated masterpiece. And because so few of these survive in perfect condition, the competition among buyers skyrockets. Scarcity drives desire, desire drives price, and price transforms a tiny copper disc into a wealth-building opportunity. But here's the twist that creates urgency. As more people become aware of this coin, the chances of discovering untouched examples shrink dramatically. Every passing year, more coins get graded, more get locked into private collections, and fewer remain in the wild. That means right now is the window, your window, to look through old boxes, inherited collections, or years of pocket change. Because the next six-figure penny is already out there, silently waiting for the one person who takes this seriously enough to look. A little intimidating? Maybe. But the real fear is thinking about what could have been found and never knowing because you didn't check. And let's be honest. How many times have you brushed past an old coin collection and thought, maybe later? How many penny jars have you ignored because they felt too ordinary? Sometimes the difference between the life you have and the life you want is simply the decision to investigate the opportunities right in front of you. Wealth doesn't always announce itself with fanfare. Sometimes it hides under dust, inside small boxes, or at the bottom of forgotten drawers. Opportunities don't disappear, but they do move to the hands of those who act first. What makes this story even more compelling is what collectors are willing to pay. When a 1969 D Lincoln penny appears in top grade at an auction, bidders don't blink at six-figure numbers. They expect them. They push them higher. Why? Because owning one of these coins isn't just a hobby. It's an investment, a status symbol, and in some cases, a generational asset. And here's where the excitement truly hits. We're talking about a penny, one penny, transforming into nearly $1 million. Not a painting, not real estate, not gold. A penny. Before you assume this kind of return is rare beyond possibility, let me remind you, people find these coins. Ordinary Americans, parents sorting through old jars, retirees searching through inherited albums, even younger collectors discovering forgotten rolls that their grandparents tucked away decades ago. Every single discovery proves that opportunity doesn't discriminate. It simply waits. And right now, it might be waiting for you. But here's a question you should ask yourself. How would your life change if you found a coin worth $969,000? Would you pay off debt? Start a business? Buy property? Secure your family's future? The emotional weight of that possibility is exactly why collectors obsess over this coin, and why sellers often find themselves holding a ticket to a lifestyle they never imagined. The very idea sparks excitement, urgency, and belief. And belief is powerful. It pushes you to act, to search, to inspect every last cent with purpose as the market shifts and more collectors enter the scene. Expert appraisers warn that the highest value examples will only rise further. The wealthy chase rarity, and when wealth chases something, prices climb. The fact that this penny already touches $969,000 suggests one thing. The ceiling has not been reached. Not even close. And if you've ever wished for a chance to build wealth without luck, this is as close as reality gets. So here's your cliffhanger. Because the most important part of this entire story is still ahead. Somewhere in the United States, maybe even inside your home, sits a 1969 D penny that no one has examined in decades. Could be sitting in an envelope. Could be tucked inside a desk. Could be mixed in with thousands of other coins. And the moment someone discovers it, the moment they realize what they're holding, their life changes instantly. The only question left is simple. Will that person be you, or someone who took the time to look before you did? Keep watching, because in the next breath you're going to learn exactly what details to look for, how to identify high-value traits, and what separates a normal penny from a six-figure legend. The opportunity is real. The value is real. And the next incredible discovery might be closer than you think. Welcome back. Imagine opening an old jar of change today, the same jar you've ignored for years, and discovering a single penny inside that could transform your entire financial future. Not a gold coin, not an ancient artifact, but a simple 1972 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, worth up to millions of dollars. Sounds unbelievable, right? But stay with me because the story behind this ordinary-looking coin is anything but ordinary, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why collectors are willing to pay as high as $972,000 for the right one, and how you might unknowingly have a fortune sitting in your dresser drawer. Before diving in, here's a question to consider. How many times have you handled a penny without giving it a second thought? Probably thousands. Yet hidden in these small copper circles are life-changing opportunities. The kind that make people wish they'd paid just a little more attention. The 1972 no-mint mark penny is one of those opportunities. Quiet, unassuming, practically invisible until the moment it isn't. The story begins with a mistake. A tiny, nearly imperceptible error at the Philadelphia Mint in 1972. That year, the Mint produced billions of pennies. But a small portion was struck using a double-die obverse, a misalignment during the hubbing process that caused the inscriptions to appear doubled. To an untrained eye, it looks like nothing. To a collector, it looks like adrenaline. Doubling on the date, doubling on the word liberty, doubling on "In God We Trust." A hypnotic echo of letters that turns a 1-cent coin into a 6-figure trophy. And here's where fear creeps in. Most people who owned these rare pennies spent them without knowing. Some were dropped in parking lots, tossed into fountains, or handed over at gas stations for gum. The idea that someone, somewhere, accidentally gave away $1 million coin is enough to make anyone check their pockets right now. Yet that fear, that regret, is exactly what fuels today's urgency among collectors, and the rush of everyday people trying to find their own rare penny before values explode even further. Years later, as more collectors began studying varieties and errors, the 1972 double die became legendary. Not just valuable, iconic. As grading companies authenticated more examples, the prices skyrocketed. Clean, sharp, well-preserved specimens, especially in mint state, became elusive gems. The perfect combination of beauty, historical significance, scarcity, and collector obsession. And when something is scarce and desirable, it becomes expensive. Very expensive. How expensive? One high-grade 1972 no-mint mark double-die penny has already crossed $970,000 in value. That's a house. That's retirement. That's generational change packed into a 1-cent coin smaller than your thumbnail. Now, before you assume your penny is automatically worth a fortune, here's the part that keeps people hooked. Not every 1972 penny is valuable. Only specific double-die varieties. And only the sharpest examples with the strongest doubling and the cleanest surfaces reach that upper-tier value. Which means the difference between a penny worth $10 and a penny worth $1 million can come down to a single scratch, a tiny mark, or a fingerprint. Talk about stress. No pressure, right? But before you think it's impossible, here's the exciting twist. People just like you have found valuable 1972 double-die pennies in pocket change as recently as this year. These coins are still out there. They're hiding in old jars, in inherited collections, in thrift store coin lots, even mixed in with everyday change. And the only thing separating the people who find them from the people who miss them is knowledge. The simple awareness you're gaining right now. So what should you look for? Start with the date. The doubling is bold, thick, and unmistakable when you know what you're looking for. The 1 and the 9 show strong doubled lines. Liberty explodes with a dramatic shadow effect. The phrase "In God We Trust" looks almost like it was printed twice. And if you're thinking maybe you need special tools, here's the good news. A simple magnifying glass or your phone's zoom feature is often enough to spot the doubling. How many treasure hunts let you use your phone? Collectors also prize condition. The higher the grade, the higher the payout. A crisp, red, uncirculated example is the kind of coin that sends bidders into a frenzy. And that's where the excitement turns to urgency. High-grade examples are being bought aggressively. Every year, fewer remain in top condition. And as supply shrinks, values climb. The window of opportunity to find a truly valuable example is shrinking. And once these coins are locked away in private collections, they're gone for good. But here's where the story deepens. The 1972 double-die penny isn't just rare. It's symbolic. It represents the hidden wealth sitting in plain sight around us. Wealth that most people overlook. It reminds us that opportunity doesn't always arrive wrapped in luxury. It sometimes arrives disguised as a penny most folks won't bother to pick up off the ground. And that's why the people who pay attention, who take the time to learn, who look twice when everyone else looks away, those are the people who win. And think about this. If a 1-cent coin from 1972 can be worth nearly $1 million today, what other coins might be waiting for you? What else is sitting quietly in your home with untapped value? That's the cliffhanger most collectors face. Every rare find leads to the possibility of another. It's addictive, it's thrilling, and sometimes, yes, a little bit terrifying. Because once you know that hidden wealth exists, you can't stop looking for it. That if you're ready to check your own pennies, start with the basics. Gather your jars, your drawers, your old coffee cans. Look through every 1972 penny you come across. Look for clear doubling. Pay attention to the condition. And if you think you have something special, consider getting it professionally graded. A small investment for the possibility of a life-changing payout. But as you start searching, keep this in mind. The person who finds the next $1 million 1972 penny isn't some expert collector with decades of experience. It's more likely to be someone just like you. Someone curious, someone motivated, someone willing to look. The kind of person who doesn't let opportunities pass quietly by. So take this moment as your signal. Your reminder that wealth doesn't always come from the stock market, the lottery, or a business deal. Sometimes it shows up in your spare change, waiting patiently for the right eyes to notice. And now the final question, the one that will stay in your mind long after this video ends. If the next person to find that $1 million penny might be you, why wouldn't you start looking today? Welcome back. Imagine waking up tomorrow, reaching into an old drawer, and discovering that a simple brown penny you've ignored for decades could unlock the kind of financial freedom most people only dream about. It sounds unbelievable, almost like a twist in a movie. But stay with me, because today we're diving into the incredible story of the 1977 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin quietly sitting in countless homes across America, now known to sell for jaw-dropping prices reaching all the way to $977,000. Yes, nearly $1 million for a single cent. And if you think that's impossible, you're about to see just how real this opportunity is. The truth is, wealth rarely announces itself. It hides in the overlooked, the forgotten, the ordinary. And the 1977 penny is the perfect example. Most people toss these coins aside without a second thought, assuming they're worth exactly 1 cent. But while the average example might only fetch a few dollars, certain rare versions, those pristine, untouched, almost impossibly preserved pieces, have become the golden tickets of American coin collecting. And right now, collectors, investors, and wealthy buyers are pushing prices higher than ever before. The real question is, do you have one of these rare pieces sitting in your home? And if you do, how much time do you really have before the market shifts? The story begins in 1977, a year that produced hundreds of millions of Lincoln pennies at the Philadelphia Mint, coins with no mint mark, coins that seemed destined for everyday circulation. But not all of them were created equal. A tiny number were struck with remarkable clarity, a razor-sharp finish, and flawless surfaces. Over time, these top-grade survivors became unimaginably rare. Some were tucked away in collections before they ever touched human hands. Others were protected by chance, locked away in rolls and forgotten in dusty boxes. And that's where your opportunity could be hiding right now. What makes this coin so valuable? It's a mix of rarity, condition, demand, and the growing obsession among collectors to own the finest known example of every date. Wealthy buyers are no longer satisfied with simply owning a coin. They want the best of the best. They want the one nobody else has. They're willing to pay luxury-level prices to secure top-graded pieces, which is why a flawless 1977 penny has already crossed the $900,000 mark. Think about that for a moment. Someone spent more on a penny than most people spend on a house. Kind of makes you wonder if you've been underestimating the change in your pocket, doesn't it? But here's the twist. Even coins that aren't perfect can sell for hundreds, thousands, and sometimes tens of thousands of dollars if they have the right characteristics. You might already be sitting on something valuable without even knowing it. And yes, that includes the ones buried inside old jars, junk drawers, attic boxes, or those random coffee cans everyone's grandparents seem to have. Don't pretend you don't know the real secret behind the million-dollar price tags is the grading game. Professional grading services evaluate each coin under powerful magnification, searching for even the tiniest flaw. The slightest scratch, nick, or dull spot can dramatically change a coin's value. That's why finding one of these in immaculate condition is like discovering a diamond in your driveway. Rare, unexpected, and life-changing. And here's where the urgency kicks in. As more people discover the value of these coins, more are being graded, and the competition for the best surviving examples is skyrocketing. The coin you hold today could be worth more now than it ever will be again. Of course, the market can shift. It always does. And no one wants to look back years from now and say, I had one of those, but I didn't bother checking. That quiet fear, the fear of missing the opportunity sitting right in front of you, is often what wakes people up. But fear can be powerful when used correctly, because it pushes us to act. And right now, action is everything. Before you start dumping out every coin jar in your house, actually go ahead, dump them out, we won't judge. Here's what you should be looking for. A bright, clean surface with no scratches. Sharp details on Lincoln's hair and beard. Clear, crisp lettering. Perfectly smooth, untouched finish. And if you're lucky enough to find a coin that looks like it hasn't aged a day since 1977, that's when you pause, take a breath, and prepare to get it professionally graded. Sometimes, all it takes is one extraordinary penny to shift the entire trajectory of your life. But don't skip to the ending just yet, because there's something else you should know. Some 1977 pennies also show minor varieties, subtle differences caused during the minting process. These varieties can boost value even further, especially if they appear on coins in superior condition. Think of them like bonus features hidden in plain sight. Some collectors spend years hunting for them. You, on the other hand, might find one lying on your kitchen counter by accident. Life can be funny like that. What really pushes this coin into the realm of unbelievable value is the emotional rush it creates for collectors. There's something intoxicating about owning a piece of history preserved at its absolute best. Collectors compete fiercely, driving prices higher with each record-breaking sale. And yes, the best pieces truly do reach into the hundreds of thousands. Almost $1 million for a penny is shocking to the average person. But to a collector, it represents perfection, rarity, and prestige. When people with deep pockets are fighting over a coin, the sky becomes a suggestion, not a limit. This is why checking your coins isn't just a fun hobby, it's a real financial opportunity. Every year, more everyday Americans are discovering rare coins in their possession that change their lives overnight. It's not luck, it's awareness, it's curiosity, it's knowing what the world overlooks. And right now, the world is overlooking the 1977 penny, even as its value climbs. Stay with me because here comes the part most people never hear. The highest value coins are usually found in places you least expect. Inside sealed mint sets, tucked away in old safety deposit boxes, hidden in estate collections nobody has touched for decades. Families often discover valuable coins only after someone passes away. Imagine the shock of finding a penny worth more than your car in a dusty envelope at the bottom of a drawer. It happens more often than you'd think. And the next story like that could be yours. So why does this coin matter today more than ever? Because we are in a moment where rare, high-grade coins are in explosive demand. Investors are shifting their money into tangible assets. Collectors are paying premiums they wouldn't have considered 10 years ago. And the supply of perfect pennies is shrinking fast. As each rare example is purchased and placed into private collections, fewer remain on the market. When supply tightens, prices climb. And when demand stays high, they climb even faster. And here's the cliffhanger that should keep you here until the last second. The most valuable 1977 penny hasn't even been found yet. That's right. Experts believe that somewhere out there, maybe in someone's attic, maybe in a sealed roll of coins bought in the late 70s, is a flawless, untouched example that could break every price record in existence. The next $1 million penny could still be waiting. And it could be yours. As you search, Remember this: wealth isn't only found by the wealthy. Sometimes it's found by the curious, the hopeful, the people willing to take 10 minutes to learn something new. That small step can create life-changing results. So check your coins. Empty the jars. Look through the old boxes. Ask your relatives if they have rolls of pennies saved from the past. The opportunity is real, the value is real, and the time is now. And when you're done searching, don't forget to get your best finds graded by a reputable service. A single grade difference can mean the difference between $1,000 and nearly $1 million. The power is in the details, and the details might already be in your hands. Welcome back. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old jar of coins, and discovering a penny so valuable that it could rewrite your financial future. A coin so rare that collectors chase it like a myth, yet it might already be sitting quietly in your home, waiting for its moment to change everything. Today, we're talking about the 1988 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, a seemingly ordinary 1-cent coin that has shocked the collecting world with sales reaching as high as $988,000. Yes, almost $1 million for a single penny. Before you think that sounds impossible, stay with me, because the story behind this coin is filled with twists, hidden opportunities, and a powerful lesson that could put life-changing money in your pocket. It all begins with the simple idea that wealth often hides in plain sight. Most people glance over small details, assuming a penny is just a penny. But what if that tiny copper-coated coin you tossed into a drawer decades ago carries a secret worth more than luxury cars, dream homes, or the retirement cushion you've always wanted? The 1988 no-mint Mark penny teaches us that fortune often whispers instead of shouting. People who ignore that whisper may never realize the opportunities they let slip through their fingers. And for those who do listen, entire futures can shift. This coin's astonishing value comes from a combination of rarity, condition, and a production quirk that remains one of the most intriguing mysteries in modern mint history. While millions of pennies were minted in 1988, a very small number show an unexpected variation in their design. Most Americans never hear about it. Even lifelong collectors sometimes overlook it. But a tiny difference, almost invisible without careful inspection, is what turns an everyday cent into something worth more than a mansion overlooking the ocean. Imagine that. Something so small, yet so powerful, hiding in plain sight inside old piggy banks and half-forgotten collections. But there's another layer to this story. A layer that matters deeply to anyone who hopes to build wealth from what they already own. Many people assume valuable items must come from auctions, luxury estates, or elite collections. Yet countless fortunes have been made by ordinary people who simply paused long enough to take a closer look. Maybe that's why you're watching right now. Maybe you're wondering whether your attic, your garage, or your childhood coin folder holds something extraordinary. And maybe, just maybe, it does. As you listen, you might even start to feel that small spark of curiosity growing stronger. What if you've been overlooking something that could give you the financial breathing room you've dreamed of? Before we dive deeper, consider this question. When was the last time you checked your old coins? Seriously checked? Most of us haven't. Even though Americans collectively have billions of dollars in forgotten change, sitting untouched in drawers and jars. And hidden in that mountain of metal are rare mistakes, special variations, and 1 in a million survivors. The 1988 no-mint Mark penny is one of those survivors. A coin so elusive that its discovery creates waves in the numismatic world every single time. A coin so coveted that top buyers stand ready to pay nearly $1 million for the right example. Doesn't that make you wonder what else is hiding in your home? Collectors love this penny not only for its rarity but for what it symbolizes. A moment in minting history where everything had to align perfectly. The right die, the right pressure, the right batch slipping through the cracks. When all those factors line up, you get a coin that shouldn't exist, yet does. And whenever something shouldn't exist, its value skyrockets. That's why this penny has reached the $988,000 mark, with experts predicting future sales may climb even higher. There's even whispered talk that the next flawless example could break the $1 million barrier. Whispered, of course, because nobody wants to start a frenzy. Or do they? Let's slow down for a moment. Maybe you're thinking, why should I care? Why should a 1-cent coin matter to someone looking to build wealth or secure a better life? Because the real story isn't just the coin. It's the mindset of recognizing value where others see none. It's the power of knowledge giving you an advantage most people never take the time to gain. The people who profit in this world are the ones who stay curious, pay attention, and act before the crowd catches on. If you don't, someone else will. And that's the kind of fear that should motivate, not scare. Fear of missing out on the opportunity that could have been yours. The incredible part is that checking for valuable coins costs you nothing. No risk, no investment, just awareness. And awareness is a gateway to wealth. That's what makes this penny special. It represents the kind of opportunity that shows up quietly, disguised as something ordinary. And those who discover it first are the ones who walk away with life-changing money. So if you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. Maybe it's time to dig through those old boxes. Maybe it's time to see what you've been overlooking. Because every rare penny that gets found pushes the remaining ones closer to the $1 million mark. We explore the features that make this coin so valuable. Remember this. Even if you don't find a 1988 no mint mark rarity in your collection, this knowledge primes you to spot other hidden gems. Coins from the 1940s, 50s, 60s, and 80s have surprises of their own. Some errors are worth tens of thousands, others hundreds of thousands. The key is knowing what to look for. Knowledge makes you faster. Knowledge makes you sharper. Knowledge makes you wealthier. And this coin is your training ground. Now, let's talk condition. The highest value 1988 no mint mark Lincoln pennies are found in pristine, uncirculated grades. Coins that never saw a cash register, a pocket, or the inside of a dusty jar. They shine with a luster that tells experts this coin lived a different life. When one of those perfect examples surfaces, collectors go wild. Bidding wars ignite. And when emotions take over, prices climb. That's how a penny becomes worth $988,000. But here's the cliffhanger. Some experts believe that an even higher grade, one that hasn't hit the market yet, is still out there. Maybe in a forgotten roll of cents. Maybe in a collection inherited but never sorted. Maybe in your home right now. People often ask why someone would pay so much for a penny. The answer is simple. Rarity, demand, and the thrill of owning something almost. Welcome back. Before you spend another day believing that the spare change in your drawer is just spare change, stop and ask yourself a simple question. What if the path to a wealthier life is already sitting in your home, hiding in plain sight? Today, we're diving into the 1992 no mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin so rare, so fiercely hunted, and so shockingly valuable that a single piece has recently been valued at an astonishing $992,000. Yes, nearly $1 million for 1 cent. And if that number doesn't make your heart beat faster, give it a moment. It will. Most people never realize they've handled a fortune without even knowing it. That's the uncomfortable truth. And it's where this story truly begins. The 1992 penny looks almost identical to the one you've seen your entire life. Innocent, ordinary, easily ignored. But inside that familiar copper shell is one of the biggest modern mysteries in American coinage. A tiny difference that separates a 1-cent coin from a life-changing paycheck. It's the kind of twist that reminds you wealth isn't always earned. Sometimes it's discovered. To understand why this penny is breathtakingly valuable, imagine the chaos of the early 1990s at the US Mint. The country was shifting its coin designs, adjusting details, and updating dies. In that transition, something unexpected slipped through. A variety with a deeply subtle design difference. A mistake so small that only the trained eye can catch it. One wrong die. One batch struck. One opportunity for everyday Americans to unknowingly carry a 6-figure fortune in their pockets. And here's the thrilling part. These rare pennies weren't recorded or documented the way you might expect. They were released into circulation quietly, blending in like chameleons. Think about that. A mistake worth nearly $1 million just casually thrown into the world. That leads to the question most people never ask. How do you spot one? And why are collectors willing to pay life-changing amounts for it? The secret lies in the design, the spacing between the letters, the alignment of the relief, the quiet whisper of a transitional element that shouldn't even exist. Sounds dramatic, but that's exactly why seasoned collectors lose sleep over this coin. The 1992 close AM variety, when struck without a visible mint mark, is one of the rarest modern cents in U.S. history. Only a handful are confirmed. A handful in a country of 330 million people. Let that sink in. Now imagine the emotional punch of learning that somebody out there, someone no different from you, once found one in their change jar, sent it for grading, and watched its value jump from 1 cent to hundreds of thousands of dollars. The disbelief, the excitement, the almost painful regret when people realize they've probably thrown away coins like this in the past. It's a mix of fear and motivation. Fear that you might miss out. Motivation that you can still catch your chance. And that brings us to the part of the journey many people underestimate. The hunt. Every collector knows this is a game of patience and precision. You can't rush it, but you can absolutely win it. And there's something thrilling about that, isn't there? The idea that the next penny you flip over could change your life. Maybe it's buried in a box from your childhood, or tucked away in a jar you forgot to count. You could open that jar tonight and be staring at a $992,000 asset while wondering whether to laugh, scream, or call your bank before your spouse thinks you've finally lost it. It happens more often than you'd think. But the real power of this penny isn't just its value. It's what it represents. Opportunity, possibility, a new financial path. People aged 30 to 65 understand this better than anyone. This is the age where responsibilities stack up. Mortgages, families, medical bills, retirement fears. And the idea of a hidden fortune sitting inside your home is more than interesting. It's empowering, even life-changing. These rare coins give everyday Americans a chance to step into wealth without luck, without complicated investments, and without waiting decades. It's wealth that rewards attention, curiosity, and boldness. Yet too many people hesitate. They'll think, maybe I'll check my coins later. Maybe next week. Maybe someday. And that someday never comes. Meanwhile, these rare pennies get discovered by people who decided today was the day. So ask yourself, why shouldn't you be one of them? What's stopping you from checking your collection tonight? If you've ever felt like life has been unfair, like wealth only goes to certain people, this is your reminder that fortunes are found by those who look for them, not by those who wait. Still, the story doesn't stop at simply finding the coin. Finding it is only half the battle. Getting it authenticated is the moment everything becomes real. You send it off, your heart pounding every time you get an email update from the grading service. And when that envelope arrives, heavy with possibility, you'll never forget the feeling. Inside that envelope could be the confirmation that your financial path has shifted forever. 1 cent becoming nearly $1 million. Think about the weight of that revelation. The dreams it could fund, the security it could bring, the lifestyle it could open. But what if the value continues to rise? What if the next auction sets a new record? There's a reason collectors are more aggressive now than ever. Inflation, scarcity, and the surge of interest in rare modern coins are pushing prices upward. A coin valued today at $992,000 might cross the $1 million mark sooner than anyone expects. And if you're holding one, you're holding power. You might be wondering, why reveal the secret? Why tell millions of Americans about a coin so valuable it could shift their lives? Because knowledge means nothing unless it's shared. And the truth is, these coins will be found. The only question is, who will find them first? Will it be someone who watches this video and decides to act immediately? Or someone who simply forgets and moves on with their day? Here's your cliffhanger. Somewhere right now, another 1992 no-mint mark close AM penny is waiting to be discovered. Maybe it's already in your possession. Maybe it's lying unnoticed on your desk at this very moment. Maybe you've picked it up before and never looked closely enough. The next person to uncover one could be anyone, including you. So check your coins. Search your jars. Dig through your old boxes. Because the next extraordinary discovery, the next life-changing penny, the next $992,000 opportunity, could be quietly waiting in your home, ready to rewrite your story. Welcome back. Imagine waking up tomorrow, reaching into an old drawer, and realizing that a single penny you've ignored for decades is secretly worth more than your car, your house, or even your entire retirement account. Sounds unbelievable, right? Yet today we're diving into one of the most shocking stories in modern coin collecting. The 1994 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin that looks ordinary to the untrained eye but has recently reached a staggering market value of up to $994,000. Yes, nearly $1 million for a 1-cent coin you may have right now without even knowing it. But before we go deeper, ask yourself something. When was the last time you checked the dates on your spare change? Or are you like most of us, tossing pennies aside because they feel worthless? That tiny habit could be the very reason countless people accidentally throw away life-changing wealth every single day. Today, you won't be one of them. The story of the 1994 no-mint Mark penny doesn't begin with the coin itself. It begins with the people who underestimated it. Back in the mid-90s, millions of these pennies were produced at the Philadelphia Mint without a mint mark. For years, collectors passed over them, assuming they had no value. They were common, simple, nothing special. But lurking beneath that copper-plated zinc surface were rare striking anomalies, die variations, and near-perfect mint-state survivors that would one day send shockwaves through the market. Picture this: collectors at auctions suddenly competing for a coin most people still toss into tip jars. Bids rising, voices intensifying, and then the jaw-dropping moment when one pristine 1994 penny crossed into six-figure territory. Suddenly, people were asking the same question you might be asking now. How can a penny from the 90s possibly be worth nearly $1 million? The answer is a mixture of rarity, condition, timing, and a little bit of mystery. Only a microscopic percentage of these coins were struck with the level of perfection that top-grade collectors demand. Flawless fields, strong details, minimal marks. Qualities nearly impossible to find in coins that spent decades bouncing between pockets, cash drawers, and washing machines. That's why the few specimens that survived untouched now command unbelievable premiums. And that's why people your age, smart, experienced, financially aware, are now turning their attention to coins like this, seeing them not as collectibles, but as opportunities. But here's where the fear comes in. Because every day, someone unknowingly spends a rare penny worth thousands, even hundreds of thousands, on something ridiculous like gum, gas, or a cup of coffee. Maybe it already happened to you. Maybe the fortune you didn't know you had already slipped through your fingers. Funny how life works. One moment you're paying for a burger, the next you're learning that same penny could have paid for a week in the Bahamas. Or 10 weeks. Who's counting? And yet, with that fear comes excitement. Because now you know. Now you understand why collectors are scrambling, why sellers are rushing to check old jars, why this particular coin has exploded in value. The market is hungry. Buyers with deep pockets are actively searching for high-grade examples. And the window of opportunity, as always with rare coins, will not stay open forever. So let's talk about what makes your penny potentially valuable. First, the date. 1994. No mint mark. That part is simple. The challenge lies in the condition. The coins worth serious money are graded by professional grading services and often labeled as MS67, MS68, or, in extremely rare cases, MS69. If you're holding a coin that still has that original shine, razor-sharp details, and minimal surface imperfections, you might be sitting on something extraordinary. It doesn't have to look perfect to you. Your eyes are not trained for that. But it might look perfect to the experts whose opinions change lives. And here's the cliffhanger that keeps collectors on the edge of their seats. Even now, experts believe there are still undiscovered high-grade 1994 pennies hiding in the wild, sitting quietly in jars, tucked inside old wallets, resting forgotten in storage boxes. Some of these coins may even surpass the quality of the million-dollar specimens already found. Imagine being the one to uncover the next record-breaking coin. Imagine being the person everyone talks about at coin shows. Imagine the headline: Everyday American discovers penny worth 7 figures. It has happened before. It will happen again. Maybe this time it's your turn. People often ask, why does this matter? Why should anyone care about rare coins when there are stocks, crypto, and real estate? The answer is simple: stability. While markets rise and fall, while digital assets crash overnight, rare coins have consistently gained value over generations. Not only are they tangible assets, but they are pieces of American history. And when history becomes scarce, wealth follows. The 1994 penny is the perfect example of how something overlooked can turn into something life-changing. You might be feeling a combination of excitement and urgency right now, and that's good. That means you're fully awake to the possibilities. But don't let that energy fade. Use it. Go through your drawers, your jars, your childhood collections. And don't laugh. Some of the most valuable pennies ever found were discovered by people who hadn't looked at their coins in decades. You might feel a little silly checking every penny, but is it really silly if one of them could pay for your retirement? If one of them could send your kids to college debt-free? If one of them could unlock the lifestyle you've always imagined? And here's something to think about. What if the next great rarity, the next $1 million penny, is already in your home right now? What if it's been sitting inches away from you for years? What if the only thing separating you from a life-changing discovery is the simple decision to start looking? That sense of anticipation is what drives collectors, treasure hunters, and everyday Americans who refuse to settle for ordinary lives as we reach the end. Let me leave you with a final thought. Every rare coin story begins the same way, with someone who almost didn't check, someone who almost ignored a penny, someone who nearly walked away from a fortune. But the ones who didn't, the ones who looked just a little closer, they're the ones who transformed a tiny copper coin into immense wealth. The 1994 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny may look ordinary, but neither does opportunity until you recognize it. And now you do. So don't wait. Don't hesitate. Because right now, as the value climbs toward the $1 million mark, the world is paying attention. And while most people will continue to overlook pennies, you now understand why that one small coin could be your gateway to a wealthier, freer, more abundant life. Welcome back. Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that a tiny copper-plated coin sitting quietly in a dusty drawer could be your ticket to a wealthier, more secure life. Sounds unbelievable, right? But what if I told you that a 1995 D. Lincoln penny, the same humble coin most people overlook, has reached market values as high as $995,000, and in the rarest cases even soared into the millions? Yes, a coin you may have handled without a second thought could change your financial future forever. So stay with me, because the deeper we go, the more shocking it becomes. It all starts with a simple question. Why would anyone pay nearly $1 million for a 1-cent coin? The answer lies in a perfect storm of rarity, condition, historical significance, and collector obsession. The 1995 Denver minted Lincoln penny didn't start out as anything unusual. Billions were struck. At first glance, it's just another penny with Abraham Lincoln looking timelessly stoic, maybe even a little tired from circulating for decades. But hidden among the billions are a select few that possess extraordinary qualities. A flawless surface, razor-sharp strikes, gleaming luster preserved as if time stopped the moment they left the mint. And as collectors know, perfection is the true currency of the elite. But here's where things take a dramatic turn. As demand for rare U.S. coins skyrockets among investors and high-net-worth collectors, the competition for the finest examples intensifies. When wealthy buyers want something, they want the best, and they're willing to pay an eye-watering price to secure it before anyone else even knows it exists. That's exactly what pushed the highest-graded 1995 D pennies into the realm of six-figure and even seven-figure valuations. And if you're thinking, could I possibly have one of these hidden somewhere? The truth might make your heart race. Because the only people who discover million-dollar pennies are the ones who actually take the time to look. Now picture this. Someone reaches into an old coffee can of coins stored in their garage for 20 years. They pull out a penny, notice it looks a little cleaner, a little shinier, maybe even untouched. They send it to be graded, expecting maybe a few dollars. Then comes the email no one truly expects, the kind that makes your knees weak. The coin is nearly flawless, mint state, valuable, rare. Suddenly, their quiet, ordinary life now has a new path wide open. One that leads toward wealth, freedom, new opportunities, and the luxury of breathing a little easier. That story has happened before, and the next one could be yours. But don't get too comfortable, because here's the part people don't want to hear. For every fortune-changing penny discovered, countless more are lost forever, thrown into circulation, scratched, dropped, and handled until their value evaporates. And once a rare coin loses its perfect condition, its future potential disappears instantly. That's why those who act quickly, those who search, inspect, and preserve what they find, are the ones who win. It's a simple truth of coin collecting and investing. Hesitation is expensive. So why is the 1995 D penny especially important right now? Because the market for rare US coins is heating up fast. Investors who once focused on stocks and real estate are now turning to physical collectibles to diversify their wealth. Coins are becoming status symbols, investment assets, and pieces of American history all at once. When you hold a rare penny in your hand, you're holding a piece of the nation's past, and possibly your financial future. And with prices rising every year, the clock is ticking. Choice coins are being bought, vaulted, and removed from the public forever. Each year that passes means fewer opportunities to find one in the wild. But before you panic, let me give you something more exciting than fear: possibility. Anyone can search for these rare pennies. Anyone can learn what to look for. Anyone can turn an ordinary day into a life-changing moment. You don't need a degree in numismatics. You don't need special equipment. You need curiosity, consistency, and the willingness to check every coin you touch. You'd be shocked by how many people have found rare pennies in pocket change, coin rolls, thrift store jars, even under couch cushions. $1 million penny doesn't care whether you're rich or not. It only cares whether you notice it before someone else does. And if you're wondering, how exactly can a 1995 D penny be worth so much? Let me drop a little suspense here, because the answer is tied to something collectors obsess over: a specific type of strike, a specific flawless quality, a specific grade so hard to achieve that fewer than a handful may exist in the world today. And this is where things get interesting, because even experts don't know exactly how many top-grade 1995 D pennies are still out there waiting to be found. They only know one thing: the ones yet to be discovered will be worth more than the ones already certified. Think about that for a second. Your coin, if it's immaculate, untouched by circulation, could potentially break auction records. What would that be worth to you? A new home? Clearing debt? Travel? Early retirement? Or maybe peace of mind, the kind you can't put a price on. The kind that tells you life can still surprise you in the best possible ways. But here's another twist. Some people assume a rare penny will look fancy or unusual. They expect something shiny, something dramatic, something that screams, "I'm worth money." But the reality is far more thrilling. The most valuable coins often look painfully ordinary. They blend in, they hide in plain sight, and that's why most people miss them entirely. So ask yourself this: how many times have you tossed pennies aside, thinking they were worthless? How many times have you walked past a coin on the ground because it seemed insignificant? Could that tiny moment have cost you a fortune? Let that question linger for a moment, because now you understand why collectors, investors, and treasure hunters watch videos like this one. They know that knowledge is a form of wealth. And the more you learn, the more opportunities you uncover. So let's shift from awareness to action, because the opportunity for life-changing wealth is only valuable if you act on it. Start by examining your 1995 pennies. Look closely for mint luster, sharp details, and signs of minimal wear. If it looks untouched, treat it like something fragile and precious. Then consider getting it graded. That single step can turn a guess into a verified asset. And if your coin receives a high grade, you could enter a world where collectors compete fiercely for what you now own. It's a world where auctions erupt into bidding wars. A world where fortunes change hands in seconds. A world where your once ordinary penny becomes a trophy. And we're approaching the most important realization. The next record-breaking 1995 D penny hasn't been found yet. Someone is going to discover it. Someone is going to experience that heart-stopping phone call. Someone is going to see a tiny copper coin transform into a jaw-dropping 6- or 7-figure payout. Why shouldn't it be you? You've stayed with this story until now, and here's your final cliffhanger. The rarest coins in American history were never found by experts. They were found by regular people who were curious enough to look, patient enough to check, and bold enough to believe that something valuable might be hiding in the smallest places.